We are on a limited time schedule, so let's get started with the session. In order to start the session, first I would like to call the three guests of honors. The first guest of honor is Lieutenant General Mazhar Ishaq Saab. Without need of any introduction, General Mazhar is Dean of Ophthalmology in CPSP and a plethora of knowledge. Sir, please, would you kindly take the podium? Thank you. The second guest of honor I would like to call on the stage is Dr. Nadeemuddin Riaz. So please kindly take the stage. Dr. Nadeemuddin Riaz has had years of teaching experience in cataract and refractive at the LGH.
On my left hand drive, the फायदा पता क्या?
And the third guest of honor we would like to call is Dr. Zahiruddin Aqil Qazi. Thank you so much, sir, for coming. So with your kind permission from the guest of honor, sir, should we start the session? Yes. The first speaker is Colonel Professor Dr. Sadia Humayun. She'll be talking on the benefits of using topical tear substitutes and its clinical implications in both cataract and refractive and biometry settings. Thank you so much.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. काम नहीं कर रहा हूँ। I am Professor Sadia Humayun, and today I'll be discussing basically the dry eyes and its management, and then we'll come to the science behind sustained hydration. So what is dry eyes? We know that nearly 1.4 billion people worldwide, they suffer from dry eye syndrome. And the impact of dry eyes on quality of life is comparable with other disabling conditions. So definition of dry eye disease by TSOFD EW2 report, it recognizes the dry eyes as a multifactorial disease of the ocular surface, where loss of homeostasis, tear film instability, and tear film hyperosmolarity has a very great role, along with ocular surface inflammation. And then according to the new data, they have added neurosensory abnormalities as a part of dry eye disease. We all know the symptoms of dry eyes: irritation, burning, foreign body sensation, blurriness. But I would like to discuss this inflammatory cascade before we proceed further. So whenever there is tear film instability, it results in hyperosmolarity, which causes cell stress, ultimately resulting in cell death. So once the cell death starts or occurs, it causes activation of innate immunity, which causes release of inflammatory mediators like cytokines, chemokines, and MMP9s. It releases antigen-presenting cells, which goes into the lymph nodes, which further causes activation of adaptive immunity, and release of T cells further causes inflammation and further tear film instability. So this is a cascade which is happening in all the patients with dry eyes. So whenever you see meibomian gland dysfunction, evaporation of tears, but there is no epithelial defect, that is very important. This is the point when innate immunity has been activated and there is a release of inflammatory cells. And when you see punctate epithelial erosions and decreased corneal sensation, that is the time when T cells are activated, and that is the time when you will see the loss of goblet cells. So it is here at this stage that the tear film substitutes, they work best. And when inflammatory cells are released, then cyclosporin, they activate at this stage. And leafy grass, Isidra or tacrolimus, they work best when T cells are released, when you see the epithelial erosions. So there are consistent risk factors: contact lens wearer, screen time, age, gender, etc. Then there are probable risk factors. Refractive surgery is the part of this probable risk factor. Then certain medications, list of medications which can cause dry eyes. And here I would like to emphasize the role of NSAIDs, which is a very favorite eye drops of especially our VR colleagues, but this causes neurotropic keratopathy. So it has to be used with caution. Then there are inconclusive risk factors, and then classification divided into aqueous deficiency and evaporative. Evaporative is 3.5 times more common than aqueous, and then there is a mixed variety. Now, why we talk of dry eye disease? So, the prevalence of ocular surface dysfunction in patients presenting for cataract surgery. So, this is one of the studies which finally concluded that 85% of the asymptomatic patients, they had an abnormal test, and 39.2% had corneal staining on presentation. Another study which again showed that 79% of the patients presenting for cataract surgery, they had dry eyes, which increases to 92% after 1 month. And similarly, 16% of the patients who presented for refractive surgery, they had dry eyes, which increases to 59%. So impaired ocular surface, it results in surgical difficulty and adversely affects the preoperative planning, including the keratometry measurements, topography measurements, IL calculation, toric IOL axis, and magnitude estimation. So it basically has a negative impact on surgical planning. So similarly, there are multiple other studies. I won't go into the detail because of shortage of time, but all of these studies, they are showing the similar data that we have to treat dry eyes before we proceed further with the cataract surgery or with the refractive surgery, because all of the condition or the ocular surface dysfunction will cause inaccurate biometry or bad corneal topography assessment, and we have to treat dry eyes and then do the rest of the tests. So impact of dry eyes, so this is the summary. It affects topography, induces higher order abrasion, affects vision, K reading, corneal thickness, inaccurate biometry, so dissatisfaction in all the patients of premium IOL as well as the laser-based refractive surgery. So how do you diagnose? Symptomatology plus one of the diagnostic tests, tear film breakup time, osmolarity, or ocular surface. Then you decide according to the test whether it is evaporative or aqueous, and then again, if it is mild, moderate, and severe, then treat accordingly. So number of diseases which can manifest as ocular surface disease. So you have to rule out what is basically the root cause which is causing dry eyes and then treat it accordingly. Management, it is with the tear substitute as well as the systemic management. I'll concentrate on tear substitute now. So there are number of or list of tear substitute. These are the properties of any tear substitute which has to be present in one or all or whatever you are using as a tear substitute in any patient. So I'll discuss one by one. So viscosity enhancing agents. This is a list of viscosity enhancing agents which basically increases the tear film thickness and increases the retention at the ocular surface. Electrolytes added into the tear substitutes to maintain the osmotic balance of the ocular surface. And one important thing here, we should know that all the tear drops, they should have a minimum amount of sodium in it, otherwise it will cause foreign body sensation, stinging, burning. Then osmoprotectants, you must have seen sorbitol or glycerine in some of the eye drops, and the main function of these osmoprotectants is to reduce the hyperosmolarity. So in the list of osmoprotectants, you can see glycerine, which is also a lipid layer mimic. Oily agents and surfactants, which replaces the deficient lipid layer like castor oil, mineral oil, ketylconium chloride. Then antioxidant, list of antioxidants. Of these, vitamin B12 has a role in epithelial healing or epithelial re-epithelialization, and it is also important in patients of post-PRK or post-CXL. Then there are certain agents which promote wound healing. So this is the normal tear film. Just for the revision, it has got a lipid layer, aqueous layer, and mucin layer. So lipid layer replacements are carbomers, polyacrylic acid, oily agents, and surfactants. Aqueous components, hyaluronic acid, cellulose derivatives, HPGOR, glycol. Mucin mimetics, polyvinyl alcohol, propylene alcohol, or povidone. So the lipid layer replacement, it works at the level of the topmost layer of the corneal tear film. Aqueous compensators, they work at this layer. Then mucin mimetics, osmoprotectants, and antioxidant, they all work at the mucin layer. So number of drops which have aqueous compensators, which are aqueous compensators, another quite number of drops which are mucin mimetics, then lipid layer replacements. But one thing we should understand in all of these, that majority of the eye drops, they have preservative in it. So when we give these eye drops for a long period of time, then we have to be extra cautious, because we have to use those drops which have minimum preservatives in it. And then these are a few drops which have osmoprotectants like glycerol. Now, one important thing, when we start giving drops, make sure that you start correcting the mucin layer first, then come to the aqueous layer, and then at the end give the artificial tears which have got lipid layer replacement. So if you give lipid layer replacement first, like I should not be taking names, but like Vizol or Lectrilube, so वो क्या करता है कि वो cover कर देता है topmost cornea की surface को. So all the inflammatory mediators, they are trapped. So when these are trapped, mucin layer is not replaced, so they further causes inflammation. So it is better to give treat the mucin layer, then the aqueous layer, and then at the end come to the lipid layer. So now coming to the Cystine family. So Cystine normal, which we all are using in Pakistan, Cystine Ultra, gel, and now the newer one, Cystine Hydration. So what is the difference in all of these? Now the Cystine Original, it has the active ingredient in Cystine Original is polyethylene glycol and propylene glycol, which are mucin mimetic, HPGOR, which is basically viscosity enhancing, aqueous suppressant, which is replacing the aqueous. Then borate, zinc, as you can see, potassium chloride, magnesium, sodium, these are all the electrolytes. Polycord is a preservative which is added into it. So here you can see that sodium chloride is 0.07, which is in a very minimum amount, so it does not cause, it does not cause stinging and foreign body sensation. So in Cystine Ultra, they added sorbitol, which is an osmoprotectant in addition to all other ingredients. And in Cystine Hydration, they added sodium borate in addition to hyaluronic acid. And so hyaluronic acid, what is the function? So sodium hyaluronate, HPGOR, and borate, basically they causes activation of the polyglycol and polyethylene glycol. And then when this activation occurs, it promotes epithelial healing, and then it also normalizes the pH, and it brings the pH to its natural pH level. Then it combines with the divalent ions in the tear film, and it causes activation of the sorbitol. This sorbitol then causes further cross-linking between the HPGOR and sodium hyaluronate, which makes a very strong matrix which finally covers the corneal surface. So when it covers the corneal surface, it decreases the tear film breakup time. It covers the areas which are being exposed or damaged, and this is basically how it works. So Cystine can be given in mild cases, Cystine Ultra for mild to moderate cases, and Cystine Hydration in severe cases of dry eye disease. So take-home message that we have to treat all the patients of dry eye disease With the, like in cataract surgery, as it has been proven with multiple studies that we have to give lubricants post-operatively for a period of 2 to 3 months because of the damage to the ocular surface as well as the goblet cell post-operatively. Patients always complain of foreign body sensation, stinging, and we have to give and keep lubricating the eye post-operatively in all cataract patients. Similarly, in refractive surgery patient, we have to give lubricants for at least 6 months. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sadia, for the lovely presentation. Refractive surgery, it has reached heights that we never expected and in such a record time. Now we'll be discussing what's new in refractive surgery. Currently, the normality lies in standardized treatment for everyone, but we are swiftly moving towards a world where we are going towards a personalized treatment for every patient, which is different from the other patient. For this, we would like to call upon Dr. Sharif Ashmani to talk about Contura Vision and its applications for the future of refractive surgery.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Dr. Hanan. Thank you, Ilcon, for organizing this beautiful symposium. 1979. कासिम थोड़ा बोर करूँगा मैं आपको. 1979, I was doing my house job in medicine and surgery. ज़ियाउल हक का मार्शल लॉ था. पाकिस्तान में पहली मर्तबा अपाव कराची में हुई थी. That was 79. And ज़ियाउल हक जो मिलिट्री रूलर थे, उन्होंने वो अपाव की कॉन्फ्रेंस को प्रिजाइड ओवर किया था. तो उन्होंने जब तकरीर की थी इनॉग्रल तो उसमें उन्होंने चश्मा ऐसे पहना हुआ था और उन्होंने कहा कि कोई इतने लोग बैठे हुए हैं आई स्पेशलिस्ट, कोई मेरा चश्मा नहीं हटा सकता. तो देयर वाज लाफ्टर. मैं भी हंसा था उस वक्त कि उन्होंने तो जोकिंगली कहा था, बट रिफ्रैक्टिव सर्जरी इज़ नाउ अ नॉर्म इन पाकिस्तान एंड इन द वर्ल्ड. तो बाज़ औक़ात बाज़ वलियों की बातें जो हैं मजाकन जो कही जाती हैं वो हकीकत बन जाती हैं. चले बिस्मिल्लाह, हम अपनी बात शुरू करते हैं. नो फाइनेंशियल इंटरेस्ट एज यू नो. एंड आजकल जितने भी, बल्कि दुनिया में जितने भी लेज़र मशीन्स हैं, दे ऑल गिव यू 6x6 विजन. बट द प्रॉब्लम इज़ नॉट गेनिंग 6x6. प्रॉब्लम इज़ कि द मशीन that is giving you that 6x6 is not inducing the glare and halos या spherical aberrations नहीं induce कर रही, और they also treat the patient's inherent the aberrations that are present in the corneal system. So examer laser is used to reshape the cornea by photoablation, and it is the reliable way of making patient glass free. And various algorithms were put in the market, and the game started with the Munnerlin profile, and then wavefront optimized and custom QN. So first formula was Munnerlin profile. Munnerlin profile mein what we do is we are ये सेंटर में हम 5 मिलीमीटर सेंटर में हम फ्लैटनेस करते हैं और फोटो एब्लेशन करते हैं, एंड वी वांट टू मेक द पेशेंट ग्लास फ्री. तो प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है कि जब आप ये फ्लैट कर देते हैं तो 5 मिलीमीटर के बाद का जो पोर्शन है दैट इज ओनली प्रोलेट. दिस इज ओब्लेट, दिस इज प्रोलेट. तो प्रोलेट एंड ओब्लेट का जो 5 मिलीमीटर के बाद का जो वो एरिया है, उसकी वजह से आपका यू आर इंड्यूसिंग स्फेरिकल एब्रेशन, एंड दिस स्फेरिकल एब्रेशन जो है आपके ग्लेयर एंड हेलोस क्रिएट करते हैं. दिस इज ट्रबलसम फॉर पेशेंट इफ द पेशेंट्स प्यूपिल इज ऑलरेडी लार्ज, और स्कोटोपिक कंडीशंस में जब प्यूपिल लार्ज होती हैं तो ये सारा प्रॉब्लम और ज़्यादा एग्जिजरेट हो जाता है. सो इसके बाद एक और ये आपकी नई ट्रीटमेंट आई, दैट इज वेव फ्रंट ऑप्टिमाइज्ड. वेव फ्रंट ऑप्टिमाइज्ड को पहले कहा गया कि दिस इज अ क्योर फॉर ऑल, यानी कि ये एब्रेशन फ्री है, बट दिस इज नॉट एब्रेशन फ्री एंड इट वाज स्पेशली डिजाइन to reduce the spherical aberration that was being induced by the Mundelein profile. हमने क्या किया इसमें? हमने ये किया कि we increased the ablation zone from 5 to 6.5 millimeter. We introduced the transition zone. There was no concept of transition zone in the Mundelein profile. Then we maintained the asphericity. Asphericity जो है आपकी जो population based asphericity है उस value को हमने इसमें induce करना चाहा. And then by increasing the size of the ablation zone, we avoided the induction of ablation. But we are not putting any consideration on already pre-existing HOAs. And then we came with the concept of custom Q. Q, what is Q? Q is the anterior surface of the cornea. The change in the shape of the cornea that occurs because of the change in the radius of curvature is called the asphericity. So asphericity, normal asphericity is minus 0.23 to minus 0.30, and this is inducing positive spherical aberration of plus 0.27, and this remains throughout the life. तो यही आपके दिमाग को भी पता है कि ये aberrations हैं. And published data shows that the normal Q value is from plus 0.4 to minus 0.8 with a mean of 0.2. और ये this minus 0.2 हमने induce किया, उसमें आपने दिया उसमें wavefront optimized में, but our unpublished data हमने जो 650 eyes पर जो research की उसमें देखा कि हमारा जो mean Q value है in Pakistani population is minus 0.39. तो ये एक बस नोट करना है, हम इसको पब्लिश कराएंगे, फिर देखेंगे कि हम हाउ कैन वी गो फॉरवर्ड. इसके बाद वी केम अप, द साइंटिस्ट केम अप विद वेवफ्रंट गाइडेड ट्रीटमेंट्स, एंड वेवफ्रंट गाइडेड एबेरोमीटर measures the whole eye optical aberrations from the tear film to the retina, and then that aberrations are corrected on the cornea. And mixed results are noted in the literature, but these wavefronts are affected by the dilatation of the pupil, the lens accommodation, the lens opacity, and other elements. So these are the limitations. Then Alcon came up with the new concept of contura. What is contura? Contura is treatment of topo-guided treatment in virgin eyes, the eyes that have not been treated before. So the results were the 20/20 vision was achieved in 65% of the eyes. There were night vision problems were minimized, and the depth of focus was increased. And why this change occurred? The change occurred because the Q value was we maintained the Q value, and this happens in custom Q also. We reduced the induction of the aberrations, and we corrected the already present higher order aberrations. So the unique feature of this software is this: it documents, it plans, and it puts into a treatment profile, and it is centered on the vertex. The beautiful part is कि you don't have to, जैसे हम दूसरों को हम करते हैं कि हम we are center of the pupil की तरफ देखते हैं और center of pupil के आसपास हम ये ablation करते हैं, but this automatically identifies the vertex. Vertex is the highest part of the cornea, and then it encompasses whole the cornea. It also takes into account the cyclotorsion element, जो supine and जो setting in supine position में हमारी change in direction of the eye होती है उसको ही करता है. And the beautiful part is there is a correction matrix. Correction matrix means that it takes into account how many pulses the treatment will take, and these pulses are delivered from the center to the periphery without any loss of energy. सबसे बड़ी बात यह है. And then it takes into account the biomechanical changes that will occur, and it also takes into account the epithelial remodeling that will occur. And in that way, it increases the depth of focus. So, who can benefit? हमारे पास जो पेशेंट्स आते हैं वो क्या करते हैं, मैं रात को गाड़ी चलाता हूँ और मुझे लाइट बड़ी तेज़ नज़र आती है, ग्लेयर हेलोज नज़र आते हैं, या जब टोपोग्राफी हमारे सामने आती है तो हम ये देखते हैं कि इनके रिफ्रैक्टिव जो ये मैनिफेस्ट रिफ्रैक्शन है वो, यानी जो सिलेंडर है वो एंड मेजर्ड सिलेंडर जो टोपोग्राफी दे रही है, दोनों में डिस्पैरिटी है. सो दिस डिस्पैरिटी, दीज आर द पेशेंट्स जिनको हमें कंटूर ऑफर करना है. एंड कुछ पेशेंट्स ऐसे होते हैं कि डॉक्टर साहब 6x6 नहीं हो रहा, हम देख रहे हैं लेकिन नज़र आता है नहीं नज़र आता, दैट इज़ नॉट दैट केस. ये वाले पेशेंट हैं जिनको हम कर सकते हैं. And we can offer it to anyone who has consistent topography. It means that epithelium is not touched. So these are the patient, 3 scenarios. एक patient होगा जिसमें topography और manifest refraction वो दोनों एक होंगे, cylinder और वो दोनों magnitude same होगा, but the axis will be skewed. Number 2, topography and manifest में greater on topography but less on manifest, or less on topography, greater on. So you have to decide where that cylinder is coming from. Cornea से आएगा या आपका lens से आएगा. Corneal के anterior surface, we never consider the posterior surface of the cornea. तो उसको भी आपको क्या बहुत ज़्यादा अगर सिलेंडर है above 3 और above 4, तो उसमें posterior part of the posterior corneal surface भी it does work. तो उसको भी आपको दिमाग में रखना है. And what does the topography guided LASIK do? It takes the elevation data, converts it into Zernicke's polynomials, and then it creates an ablation profile. And it runs under the assumption that anatomically uniform cornea will improve visual function. And as I already mentioned, it is the name given to TG LASIK in virgin eyes. So ये देखिए आप ये जो प्रोफाइल बनाकर दिया है इसने मशीन ने, the software says जब हमने सारा कुछ कर दिया और ज़ीरो कर दिया, वी आर नॉट ट्रीटिंग एनी स्फीरोसिलेंडर, तो आप देखिए कि वहाँ पर ये दिखा रहा है कि ये दिस इज ज़ीरो, वी आर नॉट ट्रीटिंग एनी नंबर, बट स्टिल दिस शोज के इज ट्रीटिंग समथिंग. दिस समथिंग इज द हायर ऑर्डर एब्रेशंस. ये हायर, दिस इज कॉल्ड हायर ऑर्डर एब्लेशन प्रोफाइल. तो ये देख रहे हैं हम कि इतना ये आपका ये ट्रीटमेंट हो गई. ये ट्रीटमेंट जब होगा तो इंटीरियर सरफेस ऑफ कॉर्निया विल बिकम स्मूथ एंड द पेशेंट विल सी बेटर. There are 3 ways of, many ways, but 3 ये हैं कि एक manifest refraction पर based FDA protocol, the other extreme is modified refraction TMR, and third is the in-between hybrid, and the fourth one is the 4 series. So FDA protocol जो है उसमें ये है कि आपका we have to be, FDA protocol is इसमें ये है कि आपका the topography measured cylinder magnitude and manifest cylinder magnitude should be almost equal, not more than a 0.5 difference. Minus 0.5 or plus 0.5 का difference होना चाहिए. Topography measured cylinder and axis should not be 15 degrees apart. And maximum ablation depth, higher order ablation profile की जो बात कर रहे हैं, वो 15 millimicron होना चाहिए. If it is out of the range, then FDA protocol cannot be. This is very strict, and उसके basis पर जो उन्होंने वो रिसर्च की और जो क्या फर्स्ट जो स्टडी आई इन विच 212 पेशेंट्स वर इंडक्टेड विद 249 आईज, दे केम अप विद दीज रिजल्ट्स कि 93% ऑफ द पेशेंट्स हैड एन अनकरेक्टेड डिस्टेंट विजुअल एक्यूटी ऑफ 2020, 65% अचीव 2016 और बेटर, एंड 34% अचीव 12.5 बेटर. सो these are the best results. एंड इसके बाद द नाइट विजन प्रॉब्लम्स में लाइट सेंसिटिविटी, नाइट ड्राइविंग डिफिकल्टी, रीडिंग डिफिकल्टी एंड ग्लेयर कंप्लेंट्स वर ऑल रिड्यूस्ड बाय अबाउट, दे वर ऑल रिड्यूस्ड. एंड 98% ऑफ द पेशेंट जो, तो ये तो हमेशा होता है कि हम कहेंगे कि अब दोबारा भी हम करवाएंगे आपसे ऑपरेशन, but the limitation is it can be done in a subset of eyes that can follow the criteria. And if patient doesn't fall into the criteria, we don't do it. And elimination of -8 and 3 cylinder, -8 sphere and 3 cylinder can be corrected. So if patient is not able to do, is not achieving the criteria, what to do? Then we can go for topography modified refraction, that is TMR. TMR was introduced by Canelo Plus, and उनका ये कहना है कि आप whatever topography says, you have to follow. Topography अगर ये कहती है कि इसका सिलेंडर ये है, एक्सेस ये है, तो वही आप फॉलो करें और करें. एंड ये according to Canelo Plus के रिजल्ट्स वर वेरी गुड. लेकिन the 2 ग्रुप आप देखें कि विजुअल एक्यूटी Canelo Plus वाला जो पेशेंट B ग्रुप जो था जिसमें TMR किया गया, उसमें आपका 83% अचीव 83% achieved 2020 और 60%, 50% achieved 2016, जो काफ़ी कम है एज़ कम्पेयर टू आपका जो FDA protocols है. So limitations were, he didn't look into the difference between manifest refractive and topography astigmatism magnitude and axis, and didn't look the difference in ocular residual astigmatism. And interestingly, this particular study showed significantly poorer outcomes of the manifest protocol compared to FDA protocol. FDA में आपको 93% achieved 6/6, इसमें आपका almost 50% achieved 6/6. So a third protocol came into, and that is the midway between the two extremes. Patient के जो refraction जो दे रहा है वो और जो topography दे रही है वो उन दोनों के दरमियान में हमने करना है. So what we do कि we perform manifest refraction again, but with the topographic astigmatism. वो offer करते हैं. नहीं अगर वो accept करता तो in between कोई जो भी number वो accept करता है वो number पर हम उसको जो patient is comfortable उस number पर हम उसको offer करते हैं. So on this basis we performed a retrospective study and in 50 eyes, and the same protocol, the same machine was used, and at 6 months we achieved that 94% of the patients achieved UCV of 20/20 better as compared to the FDA protocol, in which 93% achieved 6/6, and we have achieved 50% of 2016, but compared to 65% in the FDA. But the problem is that we followed them for 6 months only. FDA protocol was followed for about 1 year. And the stability was very good in 6 months' time. But very interesting finding that we found was regression occurred at about 3 months' time, 3 months period, about 0.4 diopter. And fourth then system ab hai, and that is vector analysis. And this vector analysis takes into account not only topographic astigmatism and magnitude, it also takes into account the refractive astigmatism magnitude, and it also takes into account ocular residual astigmatism. And it automatically predicts the optimal axis to be treated. Like this, जैसे आप देख रहे हैं कि the one is corneal astigmatism, the one is talus astigmatism, one is internal astigmatism, and final refractive जो black जो है, this is the final treatment vector जो आपको treat करना है. Based on this, आजकल जो हम कर रहे हैं, ये 90% of my patients I'm doing it with 4CDs, and जो results जो मैं देख रहा हूँ उसमें भी कि 98% of the people achieve 6/6 or better with 4CDs method, and very this FDA protocol, WFO protocol, WFG protocol, they achieve 93%. This is surprising. Number one, and number two, ray tracing की जो हम बात कर रहे हैं, और I am very much excited, and I already asked Alcon to order for the machine also, but यहाँ जब मैं देख रहा हूँ कि the results are 84%. This is surprising. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ashmani, for a lovely presentation. There's always a tug of war for the newer machines who always claim to be a notch ahead from one another when it comes to IOL biometry, cataract being the bread and butter of all the ophthalmologists. And with all the newer IOLs and the formulas that are coming in, there's always a confusion for the new entry people that which machine to choose, which technology to rely on, and which formulas to choose when it comes to our bread and butter. So for this, I would like to call Professor Dr. Qasim Latif Chaudhary to come and say a few words about Argos and how it will implement in our clinical practice.
Assalamu alaikum ji. Thank you very much. And I'll be talking about a new gadget. Alcon has introduced the new gadget, the Argos. और इसको लेने की स्टोरी बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग है कि माय ऑप्टिकल बायोमीटर ब्रोक डाउन, अब रिपेयर नहीं हो सकता था, ठीक नहीं हो सकता था, या जितने का वो रिपेयर हो सकता था उतने का ही नया आ रहा था विद 1-2 मिलियन के फ़र्क से. एंड समहाउ एल्कॉन ने अपने बंदे छोड़े होते हैं हर जगह पे, उनको फ़ौरन पता चल जाता है कि किस क्लिनिक में क्या चीज़ टूटी है, तो रोज़ आके पहुंच जाते हैं कि जी अब आप हमारा ये लें. एट दैट टाइम दिस वाज नॉट लॉन्च्ड, लाइक दे हैड अ वेटिंग पीरियड ऑफ 2-3 मंथ्स जिसमें लॉन्च करना था. तो मुझे 2-3 महीने ये रोज़ एक नई चीज़ उसकी ला के देते थे, आज ये हो गया जी, आज उसका ये हो गया. एंड इवेंचुअली आई एंडेड अप बाइंग दिस मशीन जस्ट ब्लाइंड फेथ पे कि एल्कॉन यूजुअली has got the premium stuff, so the wait may be worth it. And yes, I think after using it for more than 6-8 months, I think it was worth the wait. So why optical biometers? So I remember हम जब ट्रेनिंग कर रहे थे तो हम सब बी स्कैन के ऊपर, ए स्कैन के ऊपर अपनी बायोमेट्री करते थे. सोहेल सर्वर साहब ने करनी, हर एक का होता था कि हम बायोमेट्री सोहेल सर्वर साहब से कराएं ताकि एक्यूरेट तरीके ना, जितने प्रोटोकॉल पेशेंट्स होते थे. एंड देन ऑल ऑफ सडन ऑप्टिकल बायोमीटर्स आ गए. एंड देन अब मैं करूँ, मेरा टेक्नीशियन करे, सोहेल साहब करे, अब सबके रिजल्ट एक जैसे हो गए. बिकॉज देन वी डिपेंडेड ऑन टेक्नीशियंस, वी आर नॉट मशीन डिपेंडेंट एनी मोर. सो दिस इज़ वेयर ऑप्टिकल बायोमीटर्स केम. बट सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम उनका था, दे टेक अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम. पेशेंट ने आंख ला ली है, पेशेंट का कॉर्निया ड्राई हो गया, और ज़रा भी ग्रेड 2 जो अर्ली बायोमीटर हमने यूज़ किए, ग्रेड 1 ग्रेड 2 होते थे, पीछे से कोई व्यू ही नहीं आता था. एंड देन वी हैड टू रिजॉर्ट टू बायोमेट्री बाय बी स्कैन. बट थिंग्स हैव चेंज्ड, दे हैव अमेजिंगली चेंज्ड. सो इमेजिन लेस देन 1 सेकेंड. सो व्हेन द टेक्नीशियन केम और हमने उसे ऑन किया और उसने कहा जी बायोमेट्री करें, एंड आई जस्ट स्टार्ट, उसने बटन दबाया और कहता है उठ जाए. आई सेड व्हाट? मैं कहा बायोमेट्री हो भी गई है. एंड येस, इट टुक लेस देन 1 सेकेंड टू अचीव ऑल दीज वैल्यूज़. इंटीरियर शेप में डेप्थ आ गई, क्रेटोमेट्री आ गई, पीपल डायमीटर, लेंस थिकनेस, एक्सियल लेंथ, अप टू द डिस्टेंस ऑफ रेटिना, एवरीथिंग वाज कैप्चर्ड इन लेस देन 1 सेकेंड. And that was shocking for me because we've been using Zeiss machines, and then I realized कि Zeiss machine में पहले एक उठाएं, फिर चेंज करें, फिर पेशेंट को ऐसे दोबारा रखें, फिर तीसरी दफ़ा रखें. And this machine did not do anything, just one click and that was it. So this is what happened. So it's 50% faster than the claimed IL Master 700, and we were using the previous machine, which was the Zeiss one. And the amazing part is, if you compare this biometry with an ultrasound biometry, so ultrasound biometry चाहे grade 1 का कैटरेक्ट है, चाहे grade 5 नाइग्रा है, उस सब में काम करेगी. So imagine कि 96% of the patients जिनका grade 4 या dense cataract है, उनके अंदर it will work. Grade 3 and 4 की मैं बात कर रहा हूँ. So biometry 100% करेगी काम in ultrasound, but this will work in almost 96% of grade 3 and 4 cataracts. So all of a sudden जो optical biometry की वजह से हम मशीनें नहीं यूज़ करते थे और हमें होता था एक optical biometer की जगह हमें ultrasound होना चाहिए, so that need has gone away. So if you compare it with other optical biometers, so in a grade 4 cataract, grade 3 to 4 dense cataracts, it will acquire 89%. So बाकी मशीनें about 50-60% cases करेंगे, this will do about 89%. And why is that? It's got an amazing software that's enhanced retinal visualization. So what this software does is कि एक पिक्चर लेता है आँख के इंटीरियर से और एक पिक्चर लेता है और ग्रेड मैप करता है फ्रॉम द रेटिना और इन दोनों को जोड़ देता है. सो दिस इज द नॉर्मल पिक्चर एंड दिस इज अ पिक्चर डेंस कैटरेक्ट में जो फ्रॉम रेटिना टूवर्ड्स कॉर्निया लेता है. इन दोनों को जोड़ के इट मेक्स द आई और आई की एक पिक्चर बनाता है, हाइपोथेटिकल पिक्चर बनाता है, एंड देन इट कैलकुलेट्स द एक्सियल लेंथ. एंड दैट इज व्हाई it's so accurate, and even in dense cataract it works. So for me, if I compare this machine with other machines, so this is the point that fast, and then in hard cataracts it can even do biometry for me. So real-time OCT guidance, so when you're taking the picture, so all of a sudden you will see there are 5 points जहाँ पे कॉर्निया क्लियर होता है. सारी रियल टाइम करते हैं, बट जिसका फ़ायदा ये, यू कैन सी द कॉर्निया एट दैट टाइम, यू कैन सी द इंटीरियर प्रोसेस सरफेस ऑफ द लेंस, यू कैन सी द विट्रियस एंड यू कैन सी द रेटिना. सो दिस इज हाउ इट लुक्स लाइक. ये सारी स्पाइक्स आ रही होती हैं. सो ऑन द एनालाइज मोड यू कैन एक्चुअली सी कि कहाँ से वेव फॉर्म बन रही है, कहीं कोई डिफॉर्मिटी और तो नहीं है. सो दिस इज वाई इट्स सो एक्यूरेट. एंड देन अनदर थिंग, इफ यू गेट इट, सो एल्कॉन के जो सॉफ्टवेयर है, it's a very good software. You have multiple formulas, different formulas हैं, astigmatism है, कम है, ज़्यादा है. You can plan your incision, everything you can do on that computer software. So which is not possible in most of the optical biometers. So आपको उनका प्रिंट आउट लेके या उनका को ऑनलाइन कैलकुलेटर अब यूज़ करना पड़ता है बाकी सॉफ्टवेयर का. इसमें it's all built in. So it's just like a mini laptop, and you can actually plan your surgery accordingly. And the best thing is you can export it if your computer is connected with the network, you can export it. आपकी सारी की सारी रीडिंग्स 5 मिनट के अंदर आपके टेक्नीशियन ने ले ली हैं. He can export it to your laptop. आप आराम से अपने ऑफिस में बैठ के you can calculate का हाईएस्ट स्टिग्मेटिज्म था, या आपका जो भी काउंसलर है, he can easily guide you कि इसको टॉरिक लेंस डालना है, मल्टीफोकल डालना है, pupil माइटर बड़ा है, छोटा है, everything is taken care of. So this is the major advantage कि you can easily export the readings and you can, at your ease, you can easily plan it. The last thing, if you have all these Alcon gadgets, it is integrated with them. So अगर आपके पास इनके Alcon की Luxor microscope है, तो it can project the readings and it can project astigmatic correction, it can project the pupil diameter, it can project everything onto the patient's eye while you're actually doing it. So that is a plus point if you have all the Alcon gadgets. So with one machine, you can actually plan, you can analyze, and then you can actually execute whenever you want to do the surgery for the IOL. Thank you.
We are living in a refractive surgery boom. The amount of refractive surgeries being done nowadays, ये food for thought है कि the younger colleagues 15 or 16 20 years down the line, post refractive surgery patients के अंदर जब cataract surgery करनी पड़ेगी, it will be a problem in your calculations. The problem will be कि post operative जो आपका refractive surprise आएगा, how will you manage all those things? This is a topic of interest for me personally. For this, I would like to call upon Dr. Amir Israr, who is a University of Refractive Surgery himself. He has an experience of more than 50,000 cataract and refractive surgery patients, more than 50,000 refractive surgeries. So he would be someone who I would like to ask such difficult cases. But we need to be prepared for such cases now, given we have a decade before to prepare ourselves for. Sir, please could you be kind enough?
People believe that their future is already written. Every path decided. Every choice predetermined. This is dedicated to those who take fate into their own hands.
Thank you so much, Alcon. Thank you, OSP, for inviting me for the talk. It's been quite a long distance coming in from plain monofocal IOLs to Vivity, and then actually stepping into those patients who had refractive surgery done and thinking about what lens we're going to implant in. Last year, Qasim actually presented Vivity, and there was quite a bit of a discussion that is Vivity good for post-operative refractive surgery patients or not. So this is like in the upcoming ESCRS meeting, the winter one, this is one of the hottest topic that's going to be discussed. And we should be aware about it because we'll be facing this problem sooner or later. If we don't use the knowledge, we either use it or lose it. Before I start, we're just going to build up the basis what actually a Vivity lens is. So I'm going to present a video by Alcon, and from there, we're going to build up the story, how it goes on.
Let's take a closer look at the mechanism of action for the Acrosoft IQ Vivity IOL to see how this lens works. Vivity uses a next-generation optical principle called wavefront shaping, which stretches and shifts the light to create a continuous extended focal range instead of splitting or refracting the light to create multiple focal points. Vivity is the first and only IOL to use this technology. The patented X-Wave technology uses two surface transition elements that work simultaneously to stretch and shift the light entering the eye, producing a continuous extended range of vision from distance to functional near, with a clinically proven monofocal visual disturbance profile. Looking at a magnified view of the Acrosoft IQ Vivity IOL, you can clearly see two surface transition elements of the X-Wave technology. Surface transition element 1 is a slightly elevated smooth plateau, about 1 micron high, and it's responsible for stretching the wavefront. Surface transition element 2 is a small curvature change that shifts the light energy anteriorly so that most of the available light energy is used, just like a monofocal IOL. Let's take a deeper look at the emergent wavefront and see how the transition elements simultaneously stretch and shift it. The emergent wavefront takes the same shape as the anterior side of the IOL, thus parts of the wavefront advance, while the central portion of the wavefront is delayed. As the light travels towards the retina, it collapses, creating a continuous extended focal range. Let's explore this further. First, we need to look at the monofocal lens. As the incoming light hits the anterior surface of the monofocal IOL, the emergent wavefront takes the shape of the anterior surface of the IOL and eventually forms a concentrated focal point on the retinal plane. Let's review what happens with the emergent wavefront as it passes through the Vivity IOL. Transition element 1, as shown by the dotted brown line, stretches the wavefront and forms the continuous extended focal range, both in front and behind the retina, as shown by the green bar. Simultaneously, transition element 2, as shown by the yellow curved line, shifts most of the light energy from behind the retina to the front of the retina, making the light energy more useful for the patient and providing more intermediate and near vision benefits. The combination of transition elements 1 and 2 create the continuous extended focal range by stretching the wavefront and shifting it to the anterior side of the retina. In summary, Vivity is based on the next generation wavefront shaping optical principle, which means that the light energy is both stretched and shifted as it enters the eye, using the proprietary X-wave technology to produce a continuous extended range of vision from distance to functional near, with a clinically proven monofocal visual disturbance profile.
So now, what we've learned is that this is the most important message, that it is a line that will stretch and shift. And this is why I'm emphasizing on this thing, because this is the basis of the whole study that we did. There are multiple reasons that we do not use trifocals. Everyone has got their own reason that it might cause a visual disturbance, it's too expensive, it's like I'm selling a lens, it doesn't work, reading is difficult, glare and halos, and starburst and mesopic. So let's talk a little bit about what starburst, mesopic, decreased contrast, or halos are. This is for those people who are not into refractive system. Now imagine a person driving a car. This is a normal light of a car, and having a look around, you can see a normal contrast everywhere. What actually happens is, if you've got a multifocal or a trifocal of a lower quality, and you're driving at night or someone comes from behind, this is what you see. This is called a starburst. What is a glare and a halo or a decreased mesopic contrast? This is what it is. It's difficult to drive. So if you're going to drive on a motorway or going home back home after a difficult day, this is what's going to be. This is what people come and tell us the trouble is. They've got multifocal in the eye, or a trifocal in the eye, or a EDOF in the eye, and they're still unhappy, and we are telling them, you're 6'6", you should be absolutely pleased with the vision you've got. But if they've got this trouble, which they're not able to explain, and we do not know, it's going to be very difficult to treat them and to select a proper lens. So the whole idea is, if we've got a refractive surgery done to a cornea, we've already induced abrasions onto the cornea. And then we have to select a lens, and the lens that we put in induces abrasions and other elements further into the eye. This would make their life much more miserable. So, talking about my experience, I've put more than 100 Vivity by now, and it made me a little bit more bold about it. So we thought of, why not using a Vivity IOL in patients who have got cataracts following refractive surgery. So we started with talking to patients, because most of the patients who have refractive surgery done do not want to use glasses, and that's the basic reason why they had the refractive surgery done. Now remember, There are so many people in this world having refractive surgery done, and the number is increasing every day. Slowly and gradually, they are moving into a life where they are developing cataracts. They are fed up of glasses, and that's the reason they never wanted to have refractive surgery done in the first place. So which lens to place in? Because they do not want to have a lens which they'll need a refractive surgery, need glasses afterwards. So my study contained 3 females, 2 males, total 10 eyes, in which we did refractive surgery first and then had to do cataract surgery. The most important thing, this study actually evolves around 10 years. And, the LASIK and the cataract is around 10 years' time. So the basic idea is selecting a proper lens with which they can get glasses independence. The patient post-operative refractive error was 6.6 unaided for distance and n/10 with Vivity IOL. So just to share their experience, I'm just going to have their interview. Sorry, this is like the one I did yesterday. You can see the marks of the femtoLASIK on the side, and this is the Vivity lens. You can see it in the middle. Acrosoft Vivity is exactly like Acrosoft. It behaves like Acrosoft, but the advantages of Vivity are there. In the middle, you can see those rings. Now, simply cleaning the viscoelastic from the front of the lens and behind the lens at the same time. Because as we all have used in Acrosoft, we know it centers very well. We do not have to do much of an effort. And once the lens is settled in, it starts behaving perfectly good. Out of 10 patients, 1 patient complained of glare, but only he had to drive from Islamabad to Lahore every now and then, and the glare was only present while on the motorway. So for that, we have to give him anti-glare glasses for the driving. When we asked our patients how good they feel, everyone said that they were satisfied, and 2 said that they were even better. This is supported by the interview given to us.
मेरा नाम दाऊद खान है और मैं प्रॉपर्टी के शोबे से पिछले 30 साल से मुंसलिक हूँ। बैक इन 2012 मैंने अपना लेजर सर्जरी करवाई थी इसी चीज को मद्देनजर रखते हुए कि ड्राइव्स बहुत ज्यादा होते हैं। सो उस चीज को देखते हुए ग्लासेस यूज करना बहुत मुश्किल था। उसके बाद इस साल के शुरू में मुझे ये पता चला कि मेरी आंखों में मोतिया आ गया।
2013 में मैंने अपनी लेजर सर्जरी करवाई थी ताकि मैं कभी दोबारा ग्लासेस यूज ना कर सकूं। इस साल की जनवरी में मुझे मालूम हुआ कि मेरी दोनों आंखों में सफेद मोतिया आ गया है।
सन 2015 में मैंने अमानत हॉस्पिटल से रिफ्रैक्टिव सर्जरी करवाई। लेजर सर्जरी के बाद मैं बिल्कुल ठीक रही, परफेक्ट था सब कुछ। अभी कुछ टाइम पहले मुझे थोड़ा दोबारा से धुंधला नजर आना शुरू हो गया। चेकअप के बाद मुझे पता चला कि मेरी आंखों में, दोनों आंखों में मोतिया आ गया है।
ग्लासेस दोबारा यूज करना मेरे लिए सच अ बिग डील। तो नर्वस, शॉक, नहीं यूज कर सकता था। पेशेंट यही थी कि आपकी ग्लासेस नहीं खत्म की जा सकती क्योंकि दुनिया का कोई भी लेंस परफेक्ट नहीं होता, लेकिन नंबर को कम किया जा सकता है। क्योंकि वीवीटी लेंस किया, चूज कर लिया, ऑप्ट किया, प्रोसीजर करवा लिया। 6 months back मुझे डायग्नोज हुआ विद कंप्लीट रिपोर्ट कि मेरी आंख में कैटरेक्ट है और 3 months back मैंने ऑपरेट करवाया। नाउ इन फ्रंट ऑफ नो मोर ग्लासेस, थैंक गॉड। अब ग्लासेस की जरूरत तो नहीं है, मैं ड्राइविंग बहुत इजीली कर सकता हूं।
मैंने डिसाइड किया कि मुझे वीवीटी लेंस डलवा लेना चाहिए। मैं अब ड्राइविंग, टीवी, कंप्यूटर बहुत इजीली अब यूज कर लेती हूँ।
एक लेंस के बारे में, वीवीटी लेंस है उसके बारे में बताया कि वो लगाने से शायद मेरे चश्मे का नंबर कम हो, लेकिन ऐसा कोई लेंस भी नहीं है जिससे मैं बिल्कुल ग्लासेस से आज़ाद हो जाऊँ। सर्जरी करवा ली, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह अब मैं बिल्कुल ठीक हूँ, मुझे दोबारा कोई चश्मे की जरूरत नहीं पड़ी।
So 100% recommended. VVT lens, great team, Amanata Hospital. Thank you so much.
Now, this is like what the patients are sharing. These are all patients who had refractive surgery done. We are always scared about what type of a trifocal or a multifocal or an EDOF we should put in. Whether we should put in these type of lenses already in manipulated corneas or not. So this is like a new avenue that we can look into. We are already like, these are like 10 eyes, but the numbers has increased since this thing has been done. And we have started putting in more VVT in these type of patients because this is a different avenue altogether. What they're saying has got a basic logic. Now let's talk about why are they comfortable? Why are they not comfortable, or why are we scared putting in trifocals, multifocals, or EDOF lenses in these type of patients? One thing is, you remember the stretch and the shift? This gives us the distance vision. There is no breakage. So what actually happens is we get a good distance, intermediate, and a functional near vision. Remember, all the 10 eyes are 6 for distance and n by 10 for near. N by 10 is a pretty good vision to do general near work. But if you have to read small print, we might need glasses. Now, what is the difference? Why is it that I was not convinced using a monofocal, a bifocal, a trifocal, or a conventional EDOF? Why use Acrosoft Vivity? So if I've used an EDOF, it is of two types. Either it is a pupil dependent aperture one, which will actually be decreasing the light source and would misbehave in dark, or a mesopic aperture in which there is a diffractive surface which increases aberrations and would further enhance the troubles of this patient. And thirdly, if I use an enhanced monofocal, that would induce aberrations and will decrease vision. So all three of these lenses are out of question. So that is the reason where Acrosoft Vivity comes in. I wish we can have a Clarion Vivity that would even enhance vision for these patients. So remember, there's an old saying, garbage in, garbage out. If you're going to put a bad lens in, we do not expect a good result out of it. So we have to be very, very accurate about it. Biometry, as Qasim has told, is very important. But then selecting a proper lens for these type of patients is far more important. Now, to a naked eye, Acrosoft Vivity and Acrosoft are going to behave the same. But when we see them under enhanced magnification, we can see the difference. And this ring and the plateau is where the magic comes in from. Once we've got these things, the shift and the stretch, this is where we get a multiple option of vision for distance, intermediate, and near. From our case, we were able to have a perfect distance and a functional near vision for these patients, which was very pleasing and comforting for the patients who had refractive surgery and never wanted to use glasses after cataract. The reading speed was good. Now, the important thing is, this is the monofocal X-wave technology, Vivity, and an EDOF causing glare and halos. For Janal Saab, who's doing lots of refractive, Nadeem Riaz and Aqil Qazi Saab, they all know what actually these troubles are. So that is the reason we have to use a lens that can reduce the troubles of our patients. Now, there is a selection of a patient. For selection, if a patient has got more reading and is more into near vision habit, I would prefer a panoptic lens. For a patient who is more into driving and outdoor activities, Vivity is going to be my choice. There is a long list of inclusion and exclusion criteria. There's a very interesting debate that actually goes on in almost every OSP meeting in which Colonel Sadia asks all the panelists about the questions, which part should be done and which should not be done. And these are the inclusion and the exclusion criteria for these things. But believe me, the leading surgeons or the key surgeons are always looking for an excuse to include the exclusion criteria into the inclusion criteria. These would not be in FDA. These would not be anywhere. But if those people will not be working on it, then we'll be stuck on the baseline. So I hope and wish that there is a time when we can have inclusion criteria as all full points. Thank you so much for the time, and thank you so much for
Much, Dr. Amir, for your lovely presentation. Now, I would like to call upon Dr. Tanveer Chaudhary from Liaquat National Hospital to talk about the next big thing, the Clarion autonomy injector system, and the whole thing which it brings with it. Sir, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So, yeah, I mean, VVT, again, wonderful presentation and need many patients who are not fit for panoptics, VVT is the choice for them. And as you said, for every implant, it's the calculation, it's the biometry, which has to be accurate, which things are evolving and improving. So we'll briefly talk about lens, which again is a monofocal, and we have been using all monofocal lenses for a long time. When I started training in UK, we started on a phaco machine of legacy, and that was from Alcon. And after many, many years, I'm still operating on Legion and Centurion. So the quality which is provided by a company and the result which it gives, it speaks itself. So you can see the evolution of the lenses from Alcon, from Acrosoft's multi-piece to Acrosoft single piece to the IQ, to the IQ Toric, and now Clarion. Clarion is setting a different standards in the treatment because of its material, because of its stability, and because of low glistening effect. It's made with a combination, it's a cross-linked material with the acrylate polymer and methacrylate polymer with a yellow chromophore added on it. Now all this combination with a slightly increased amount of water compared to Acrosoft, it gives it biocompatibility. It's a very biocompatible lens, which means that its stability within the bag is absolutely great. So the movement or the slippage or movement is limited as ever. High refractive index is the thin lens. The thinner the lens, we know that it's going to need a less force to inject, small incision to inject. Full 6 millimeter optic. It has got a larger optic. It not only gives you a better result post-operative in different illumination conditions, but also prevent formation of PCO. So PCO rate is less than others. Foldability and strength. It's got a special L-shaped haptic, which gives it stability within any size of the capsular bag. So if the capsular bag shrinks or if the capsular bag is small, the haptic will move, but it won't have effect on the optic. And so, as I said, low PCO levels. There's a blue filtration, light filtration, and UV blocking effect with slightly increased combination of material and increased amount of water, slightly increased, still a hydrophobic lens. So it's a unique material, as we said. It's, as you can see, that the haptic is a special shape and the large optic size, 6 millimeter, which doesn't give you different affect vision in different illumination or affecting the contrast sensitivity, as some of the multifocal lenses do reduce contrast sensitivity in different illuminations. So it's a proven attribute. Hydrophobic lens hai, advantages over the Acrosoft. So why don't we have been using Acrosoft? So why change? So change is going to happen. Improvements are going to happen. Things are going to evolve. We have come from intracapsular to extracapsular to phacoemulsification to femto. Some people use the femto cataract as well. So with the time which is changing, which is giving best result to the patient, we have to evolve. The glistening effects. Glistening effects is due to the formation of microvacuoles, and the microvacuoles of water are phase separating throughout the material of the lens. It gives like a reflectivity on slit lamp. Subsurface nanoglistenings. Nanoglistening is when the vacuoles are formed just under the surface. They can form after a few months to a year, and you can see the effect or glistening from on the slit lamp. And then low surface area. So all these effects are reduced compared to the other lenses. Lowest surface area is due to, so there's a different manufacturing and mining of these lenses, and the surface area has been reduced, which is due to surface roughness and give you a scatter of light, especially when you shine a light from 30-degree angle. And these are the effects of glistening throughout the surface through the material. nano glistening, subsurface and surface haze on the surface. The material which I've been using, Acrosoft, if you compare Acrosoft with Clarion, there was a slight roughness in not only in the haptic edge, but also in the optic edge. And they have improved, although we didn't have any problem. We have been using it, and there have been no problem, although we did face some problems of glistening and reflectivity. But the material has been changed, and you look at the difference between the two surfaces. It's a much smoother surface, much impact, and the edge holds within the lens, in the capsule, that it does not form or reduce the formation of YAG capsulotomy, because PCO rate is very low comparatively. Its presence within the bag, as I said, is an L-shaped optic, haptic. Beta ye video hai? Isme aayega. Theek hai. That's okay. So you can see that as the capsular bag is shrinking, the optic remains within the same. It's the haptics which are changing, and haptic has got this hinge to under control that optic does not change. And this is demonstrated in the next one with the comparison, that you see that with the shrinking, you see the optic does not change, while in other comparative lenses, there is pull or push of optic, which will not only affect the visual quality, but also may change the dioptric power. So centration remains excellent for Clarion. And this is the comparison of stability with other effects, and Clarion and Acrosoft is doing better than other results. Because of its, again, edge formation, it not only reduces the formation of capsule PCO, but also reduces the amount of dysmorphopsias, positive or negative dysmorphopsia. And the best part of this lens is autonomy. This is how we pronounce it. It's the first lens which is like automated with very sort of speed control delivery system, and I feel it's not only the best delivery system, but I also feel it's fun delivery system as well. So what it helps? This is our wound, the front and back of the wound, and when we inject the lens, it is going to disrupt, with its force of the injection, it can disrupt the anterior and posterior lip of the lens. This can lead to scarring, that can lead to post-operative unwanted astigmatism. Because of the delivery is so smooth and automated, with the speed calculated, there is no jerk movement, which sometimes we do expect in or experience in our other lenses when we inject. And it's a very simple three-step loading system and delivery system. It's the first system that has got very smooth delivery of IOL. It actually protects patient safety because it protects the wound safety, the post-operative results are better. It's easier ergonomic. You don't have to do the lens itself works around you, and outstanding refractive outcomes. It's the first system which is driven by innovation, carbon dioxide gas mechanism, and I hope that some samples are there for those who have not used it, they can have a try. So most surgeons who have used it, I've used quite a lot of Clarion now. So to say that my patients are very, although I have not recorded their interviews like Amir did, but they are satisfied with the results, and I'm satisfied with the outcome as well. But 68% are very happy with the ease to control, and 85% think that implantation speed control is excellent. 70% of surgeons rated overall smooth and effortless going. It's a very simple technique. You put a viscoelastic, there's a hole given, and it goes up to the, when it comes up to the mark here, you remove the lock and then press the plunger. As you press the plunger, the carbon dioxide push is activated, and it folds the lens, and it comes to the front of the plunger, and then you stop, hand it over to the patient. I do it myself. I like doing it myself because sometime बहुत पहले एक मेरा सर्जन कहता था आप इंजेक्शन लगाओ तो खुद लगाओ कि अपने रेजिडेंट से लगाओगे, स्पेशली विद द प्राइवेट प्रैक्टिस, क्योंकि अगर कुछ गड़बड़ होगी तो यू आर द ओनली वन टू ब्लेम, किसी और को ब्लेम करना बहुत आसान है. तो इसमें भी अगर कुछ गड़बड़ हो जाए, गड़बड़ हो सकती है. मैं अभी एक गड़बड़ बताता हूँ आपको. ये कहेंगे कि गड़बड़ भी बता रहे, अच्छी बात नहीं है, लेकिन no injection force, single-handed use, and nozzle tip जो है, nozzle tip के ऊपर lock है, so you won't go inside. आप थोड़ा सा अंदर जाओगे, वो lock कर देगा, आप नहीं जाओगे. And very smooth delivery system. 1 or 2% of the cases, and I think that's probably due to the viscoelastic we use. The leading haptic has come out in front of, like a straight, and that actually goes in. So you have to wait for it to fold. And is one of my cases up till जो मैंने hundreds use किए हैं, उसमें the haptic was stuck to the posterior side of the optic. Again, you wait for it to relax, and the haptic, as it relaxes, then you position it within the bag. So that's only happen in 1 or 2 cases, not huge amount of cases. So 3 steps to follow. Fill in with the Alcon qualified viscoelastic, and this is just a small demonstration of how to use it. This is how you're filling up the viscoelastic.
Using your thumb, press the speed control lever to initiate delivery. You'll hear a click
Pressing
when the CO2
plunger,
mechanism activates.
activating.
Then, continue pressing the speed control lever to advance the IOL all the way to the pause location for inspection. Once the lens is in the pause location, it should be delivered within 1 minute. With those 3 simple steps, the device is ready to implant. With its proprietary depth guard, Autonomy protects incisions as small as 2.2 millimeters. During delivery, the single-handed controls leave your other hand completely free, letting you stabilize the eye and keep more of your focus on your patient. Press the speed control lever with your index finger to advance the plunger and implant the IOL. You can vary the plunger speed at any time by simply adjusting the pressure on the speed control lever. So with your next cataract surgery, discover a new level of easy, intuitive control. With Autonomy, discover the ultimate IOL delivery experience.
Thank you. And I always say that in any medicine you use, in any lens you use, in any machine you use it yourself and then decide. Do your audit. Do some cases of 50, 100 or whatever, and do your audit. Get your patient's outcome. And then you decide, yes, this is the best. For me, yes, I have been very happy using this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tanveer. A little story about Clarion. I was just discussing with Dr. Khalid. Clarion, I have only a limited experience with Clarion. I've only implanted 25 IOLs of Clarion. The first 2 IOLs that I had to implant, मेरी जो बड़ी फुप्पो हैं, she developed cataract in both of her eyes, and she opted to go for monofocal IOL. She's old school. But she wanted, of course, Meri Pupoti, and she wanted the best IOL to be there. So I implanted, first 2 Clarions were with my Pupo in first 2 eyes. So this is the kind of blind trust I had on the Clarion system before even I started implanting it in other patients. So of course, after the other 25 cases, I'm already sold out on this. So for next, in early stages of my career, there were only 2 systems which we have to choose from, Venturi system and the peristaltic systems. This institute, we have had learned from only the peristaltic systems. Venturi systems, I've worked with Dr. Amir Israr in his setup, and I've worked with Venturi system in his setup. That was my exposure towards the Venturi system. But the world is evolving beyond Venturi and beyond peristaltic systems, and they're going into the realms of new hybrid systems. जिनकी usability जब तक आपको पता नहीं होगी, you won't maximize your phacosurgery to the limits that you should. इसके लिए I would love to call upon Professor Saeed Iqbal from Karachi. He's President OSP Karachi. He's a well-renowned cataract and refractive surgeon, to give us the insight on the newer Legion system and how is it pushing the innovation boundaries today. Thank you, sir.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन। तकरीबन सारी बातें हो गई। फेमटो लेज़र भी हो गया, लेंस भी इम्प्लांटेड हो गए, बायोमेट्री भी हो गई आगाज से, बट आपके पास जो असल चीज़ है दैट इज़ द फेको मशीन। Obviously, if you do not have a proper good phaco, you cannot fly that high with all these type of premier lenses and with a very high quality 1 second biometry by eyeglass. So we have this unmatched and highly predictable surgical outcome with Legion phaco system. As Dr. Tanveer said, कि अब आपने कोई भी अगर कुछ बोलना है तो you should have experiences by yourself, and that is very true. जिस मशीन पे मैं बात करने जा रहा हूँ, this is actually I'm working at my morning place at PUB and at South City in the evening. What you need being a phaco surgeon basically. So it's a phaco system with following attributes. It's a chamber stability, surgical time efficiency, easy setup, and ease of use, which is the user friendly, right? And we have been through these systems like Laureate and Infinity, and then finally we came to this era of the technology, which is Legion system. So Legion has a lot of positive points over the previous system, which are the Infinity and Laureate. We usually talk about Laureate because Laureate is at most of the places around the country. Stability, efficiency, and user experiences. So if we talk about the stability, so the stability means it has an advanced fluidics management system, which is 7 roller pumps instead of 4. 4 was the standard before, and all those peristaltic pumps were making some sort of vacuum, which is now converted into 7 roller system, and it is to provide overall improvement in the fluidics performance and the stability of the chamber. So these fluidics are controlled by this dual system. Dual means it has a system in a way that it controls the vacuum at the time when it goes into the trough. And there is a small bore aspiration. Infinity had a tubing of 1.57 millimeter, while this Legion tubing has a bore of 1.44, which is a little narrow and a little more efficient in working. And there is low compliance system as well. So improved stability means there is precision and responsive vacuum control, and this is very important. Those who work on the phaco chop system, they really require high vacuum on a very nice stability of the chamber and the clogging of the nuclear parts into the machine. So single segment versus dual system segment FMS design. So this is smoother, faster, fluidic response, allows better. If you look at this, this is the previous one, where you have a vacuum system which is giving you just one peak and one trough here. But when there is dual, it maintains the surface, it maintains the vacuum in a way that the clogging of the nuclear part into the machine maintains there. So this is how it works efficiently, better than the previous system. So overall, this new FMS benefits are, it enhances the interior chamber stability for a gravity system. You have a predictable intraocular pressure, obviously. Faster recovery and improved outcome and safety. Safety, recovery, and outcome, this all come in one category. So if you have a nice machine and nice fluidics, obviously these all come in one under the one heading. And there is consistent performance with low post-occlusion break surge. That's what I talked about. Because of this dual system, it maintains the surge and it clogs the part, so you can engulf it nicely. Second is Intelligent phaco. This was obviously first time introduced by the Alcon, and so far Alcon is maintaining this IP phaco, which is the Intelligent phaco. Ozil technology is a unique side-to-side shearing, provides a clear performance over the longitudinal. Longitudinal obviously has its own benefits, but once you start enjoying this Ozil technology by either Infinity or the Legion, you will never go back. So this IP phaco is something really out of this world. So this preserves the wound integrity as well, because once the phaco tape, it oscillates side by side, it has lesser effect on the wound than the longitudinal, because longitudinal pulls and push the wound, and the quality of the wound goes off. And sometimes we feel like why the patient is having little aberrant type of a picture at the wound side. There is an astigmatism. Why patient is not having good healing, and why do you see the scar of that very tiny small incision of the phaco knife? This is a small video here. It's got a sound system.
Vacuum threshold, which is determined by the surgeon. When the vacuum rises to the threshold, indicating that the phaco tip is near occlusion, Ozil IP will engage, delivering a short longitudinal pulse to reposition the lens material at the shearing plane for efficient emulsification. Ozil Intelligent Phaco delivers this energy in short packets, so the repulsion and heat generally associated with longitudinal phaco are diminished. The activation of Ozil IP helps to prevent the tip from reaching full occlusion. This allows the peristaltic pump to continue to draw material to the tip for emulsification, and this enhances followability and efficiency. One of the beauties of the technology is that it runs in the background.
We have the next thing is efficiency of the social technology, which is overall effective because of the shearing effect over the horizontal of the advantage of the horizontal movement than the longitudinal. Then the next is the initiative 12 inches graphic user interface. This is just like iPhone. Those who are very much friendly, very much familiar with the iPhone has a very nice graphic pictures. So it's a user friendly. You have a very fold down display feature, a streamlined user friendly touch screen. That is always something easy to use. It is not only for the surgeon, but it's also for the staff as well. So you can change the settings, you can do whatever you want to do on the screen, and then it is easy to perform the procedure. And during the procedure, if you want to change the settings, that is again much easier than before. So this is the highest and easiest learning curve that has developed after the introduction of this type of the interface of the surface. Convenient and easy to use of this machine is it is compact, smaller in size, just 17 kgs only. Then you have a nice foot pedal, which is programmable foot switch, 4 buttons there, and the phaco tip, which is and the anti-vitectomy, which is available along with the machine. So you need, being a phaco surgeon, chamber stability, surgical time efficiency, easy setup, and ease of the use. This is the conclusion of any good phaco machine. And 7 roller peristaltic pumps are helping for the chamber stability. Ozil technology is giving you efficient time surgery, and the graphics is again user friendly, easy to use, and the portability is making it to use at different places very easily. Thank you very much.
This brings us to the end of our session. I would love all of you, if you have any questions, just come up to the mic or ask for a mic, and you can ask the panelists, you can ask the speakers, anything you want. Is there any comments from your side on all the presentations?
I think so. The speakers were so good in explaining their point of view that I think so all the audience are very happy. And even if they are not happy, we will make sure that they are happy. Alcon is going to make sure that they are happy. As far as the topics which we have discussed, I think we're starting from the first one was really, as the panelists we were discussing among all, is that dry eye is something which we have to learn, we have to treat, and we have to be sure about this thing that all our patients and whatever we have talked afterwards, this is going to be in part and parcel of a package of a cataract surgery, of looking at the anterior corneal surface. Next, we had a talk on Conturavine, and Professor Sharif Ashwani, as usual, has come up with some bright ideas, and this is one of this. And what he's trying to explain that the LASIK treatment, femtolasic, is just not one modality. and we have to have a look at the corneal surface and to find out what kind of an astigmatism or what kind of a surface it is on which the surgeries can be done. So there are different ways and means of improving the quality of vision more than whatever it is, whether it is on a Snell chart or 6x6, but contrast sensitivities, halo and glare to come into it. And with the same emphasis, I think so, the point went to Amir Israr when he talked about vivity, which is again a kind of a lens which is an EDOF lens, but having a special kind of a property of a new, what we call the AI-generated technology, having an extended focus, which is the part and parcel of EDOF. And what it counts is to reduce the glare and the halos and the night glare, which comes into this state of the art. I think so. I will leave the machine part to Adil Qazi, because as we were just talking about that we are the people who started on Alcon at Universal 1, Universal 2, and then we carried on until now we are carrying on with the new machines. Over to Adil Qazi.
The important thing is that whenever we have a technology, the people bringing in technology should know and should have the expertise, and Alcon is on the top in looking after the machines that they supply and the backups and the spares. So that is their strength, that they are always there with the surgeon when they have an issue of making misuse of the technology they provide.
One point in favor of the good quality viscoelastic, particularly the long chain ones. Whenever we resort to implanting premium lenses, it's always advisable to go for the best one. It really adds very little to the cost, considering the whole paraphernalia. And these things, as Tanveer Chaudhary just said, that the following haptic sometimes gets stuck. That's again, something which can be easily avoided with two things. First is, if the lens is very cold, like, in winters when it's at room temperature, or maybe, if it is brought from the other room, then it misbehaves a little bit. So if the IOL is warmed up slightly, this acrylic material behaves very nicely and it unfolds very graciously. Coupled with a good quality viscoelastic, I think these two factors you would never ever encounter any malfunctioning of the injector system.
In the end, I think so. I must appreciate the organizers and the Alcon team, and let's be very much clear about, as far as I'm concerned, and that Alcon was there when the first, I still remember in 1985-86, my mentor, my General Naseem said, go and find out Bellis solution. And at that time, we never had anything like that, what do you call it, this internet and things like that. And I went around all the places where to find a balanced sound solution. And I still remember I went to Alcon people to find out where the thing is available. We started with the rigid IOLs, and they were Alcon. We started with the phacoemulsion, that was Universal 1. And whatever, at that time, we never used to have workshops or wet labs. It was just one person learning from the other person. Still remember Adil Qazi coming from Lahore to Pindi to teach people around, or we coming over here to learn things like that. So it is a process in which we learned by ourselves, this generation, not the AI generation, this generation which we are sitting over here. And then the company which really helped us in all along this thing, whether it was, especially in the phacoemulsion era, I think so we must compliment Alcon, whatever they have helped us to reach this stage. And now I think for those generations who are not part and parcel of this thing, this company has given us a lot, and we really feel very proud to be associated with it. With this, thank you very much.
Sir, I would like to call upon all the speakers and the panelists to be, please, at the center of the stage for a group photo.